Welcome to the multiverse. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe wherever you are in the multiverse. Enjoy! Okay, so I've been wanting to do this for a while now and am currently bored, so let's get into this. Just so you know, this is all my opinion and I'm sorry if I offend anyone. And also, this, like all of my other videos, is unscripted. Well, let's get started. Okay, so first up we have not researching the character. Like, I understand if it's just your AU and stuff, but it's still good to research the character, especially if it's only going to be a one-time thing on your channel. Okay, so this one's more of just an inconvenience than something I dislike. Personally, I love all sorts of different character designs. It's just a little annoying when you can't tell who a character is. Here's a tip for me. When designing a character for the first time, or just in general, I like to have a reference picture up. Sure, the design may not be exactly like the canon, but it can still help your character be recognizable. Personally, I wouldn't go off of designs from gacha videos. In my opinion, they're not super reliable for if you want a design like the canon design. Basically, taking a design straight from a gacha video may not be the best, as the creator probably didn't take the design from a reference picture of a canon design, and it can turn into a game of telephone. I'm not hitting on anyone here, so please don't take this the wrong way. I'm just trying to give out some advice. Us gacha tubers do have to stick together after all. Anyways, let's continue. Okay, this one is just getting old. In my opinion, it's turning into the Uno joke. It was funny the first couple times, but now, you see it in literally every ship video. It's basically the same, just instead of the characters playing a card game, it's the brother of another character, her being in a relationship with another character, and in the end of both scenarios, someone's most likely either dying or getting stabbed. Now, this could just be my weird logical brain being its weird logical self, but I'm pretty sure in reality, Ian Nightmare wouldn't be trying to murder Cross for being in a relationship with Dream, or Cross with Error being in a relationship with Ink. Okay, we're gonna use Cream for this. Okay, so in this scenario, the bad guys in Star Sands have been at peace for a while. Nightmare may give Cross a warning every once in a while about being nice to Dream, but I don't think that he'd actually try and kill Cross. Cross did, or even still does, work for Nightmare. Plus, if Nightmare really did end up killing Cross, or at the very least seriously injuring him, that would probably not end well at all. In fact, it might even cause the bad guys in Star Sands to go back to being enemies. You gotta think about the ship kids too, if they already exist. The ship kids will probably be terrified of Nightmare, or whoever killed or seriously injured the respective brother's partner. They probably wouldn't dare to go near him ever again. Those kids would have to be stuck in the middle of their parents fighting and trying to kill each other. So basically, especially if the ship children were really young in the respected AU, they would most likely be traumatized and may even end up trying to run away to get away from all the fighting. Not to mention, who would even take care of them if their parents weren't on the same side? Okay, let's say that the Star Stances and bad guys had never made a peace treaty in that AU. The only ship I can really see happening in this scenario is Aberrink. I respect everyone's AUs and stuff, but I mean, Air isn't a part of the bad guys. He's bad Sans, but not a part of Nightmare's gang. And Ink, well, I'm pretty sure Ink wouldn't really care either way. No wonder he has so many ship kids. Sorry, it just amuses me sometimes how many ship kids Ink has. Eh, gotta feel bad for the dude sometimes. Okay, let's move on, shall we? So the next one is ships where the characters are related in canon. Okay, I'm not even gonna try to say, oh hey, yeah, it's fine, it's just your AU. Because if two characters are canonly related, that's how most people see them. Like, for example, even if you make Passive Nightmare and Corrupted Nightmare different beings, they still make up the same entity. And in my mind, that makes Corrupted Nightmare Dream's brother as well. Okay, so for those of you who may not know, when two creatures are related and are, like, for example, dating or something like that, that's called incest. And it's basically agreed across the globe that it's not cool. I mean, I'm sure there's some place in the world where that's cool, but I'd be quite surprised. You know what? Let's just move on from this topic. Okay, so this one just doesn't make much sense. Okay, so for those of you who may not know, here's the premise of these music videos. Basically, what happens is the player disguises themselves as just a normal kid, monsters being on the surface. They pretend that they were hurt by Sans. Everyone believes them over someone that they've known for literal years. And Sans gets kicked out of the house. Insert bad child song here. And the AU's coming to help him. Okay, for real. I'm pretty sure Toriel would believe Sans over some random kid, especially seeing as how he's seen as lazy and has little to no magic. Plus, it's not that hard to distinguish makeup from actual wounds. Toriel isn't stupid, you guys. She's probably a couple 100 years old. Plus, don't Sans and his AUs not want Undertale and the other Undertale AUs and stuff, like, to not know about them? Sure, they could just reset after all this, but the aware characters would still remember the, like, 20 something weird skeletons that either popped out of nowhere or that Sans turned into. Okay, don't get me wrong, I like the idea of frisking the other awares knowing about the AUs. But other than Papyrus, if he's aware in that AU, I don't see Sans sharing the fact that he has AUs with him. Again, it just seems like something that he wouldn't share. Okay, so I get why people do this. Papyrus is often seen as an innocent being, but he's not a kid. He's most likely in his late teens, so of course he'd know a few swear words. He just may not use them too much. Honestly, I think that he'd swear more when it was just him and Sans alone than when they were with other people. Personally, I like making Sans and Papyrus both able to know wingdings and having Papyrus swear a lot more in wingdings than in common, seeing as how very few people actually know the language. Plus, if you make Papyrus aware, he's not going to be innocent. In fact, if a being is aware, they can, though they may not look like it, They could be hundreds of years old, depending on how many resets there are. Plus, you have to take into consideration aware papyrus and sands have had to watch everyone they know and love to be murdered probably hundreds of times. They would not be in the best mental state after all those resets. Even just one genocide route would probably be traumatizing enough. Okay, I think it's time to talk about the elephant in the room. Like, for real. What is this? Yeah, well, that's fine. Just, it's more of how you are being portrayed with depression. You're cutting, aren't you? In almost every scenario where you're depressed, the creator has you cutting, which is not cool. Like, I'm surprised you haven't dusted already because you have only 1 HP. Oh, yeah, and the ketchup's spiked, isn't it? That's it. I'm sending you to Swap for some therapy. He'll be able to help you out. Don't worry. Listen, depression and other mental illnesses are not something to be made as a joke. Plus, how people portray characters with depression is all wrong. It isn't super obvious that someone has depression a lot of the time. In fact, one of my friends actually had depression once, and I didn't know that they had it at all. In my eyes, they were just their happy self. But no need to worry. They got over it, and now they're back to a healthy mental state. Basically, what I'm trying to say is people with depression don't always wear dark clothes, cut, or any of the other common things you see in characters portrayed with depression. Look, if you're gonna make a character have a mental illness, please at least have a basic understanding of how it actually works, not just how media portrays it. An example of a character that I have made have depression in my own version of them would be Underswap Papyrus. The reason being that in my multiverse, Blue, who now goes by Swap, went missing around 20 years ago, resets included. So no one in Underswap, which again in my multiverse, the swap AUs are aware of other AUs existing. Basically, no one could find Blue, and no one knew if he was alive or not. And that has taken a toll on Carrot, especially seeing as how in Skulliverse, which is the name of my multiverse if you didn't know, skeletons care a lot about people that they see as family. And if something happens to someone they care about, that can take a real toll on their mental stability, especially if they don't know what happened to the person or if they're alive or not. Another character who's lost people would be Future Lavender. She had children and doesn't know if they're alive or not. She lost some really good friends of hers, and now, let's just say Skulliverse in the future isn't in the best condition. Lavender's been having to take on a lot of responsibility that she really shouldn't be for her age. Because even though Future Lavender is in her, I don't know, mid 30s or something, that's still extremely young for a skeleton. Luckily, though, Future Lavender has a lot of people helping her out. Ones already shown on this channel being Magenta, Asylum, White, Xcara, Positive, and Negative. She's gotten a lot stronger too. So she's in good hands and isn't gonna be getting killed anytime soon. Okay, let's move on to a bit of a less serious topic. The Murder Time Trio being idiots. Hey, I'm fine with them being silly and goofing off every once in a while, but they're grown skeletons. And they're also trained killers as well. I guess you could just take this as another case of people not doing their research, because I'm pretty sure their personalities aren't how they're often portrayed, though I'd need to look at the wiki. Okay, so this one is more of how it is carried out than the actual AU itself. Like, seriously, how does Nightmare not look at Dream and go, "Oh, hey, Dream, I see you're wearing an eye patch. What's going on? And what's that black stuff coming out from underneath it?" Like, seriously, the eye patch doesn't do much to hide the Nightmare goop stuff. I mean, come on, the Star Senses are being sus by covering up their eyes. Like, all three of them are covering their eyes. Oh, yeah, and due to them being skeletons, like, technically wouldn't the black nightmare group stuff be dripping down the entire side of Dream's head? And I don't think an eye patch would cover it up too well. Yeah. Yeah. Skeletons don't have hair. Yanderes in general aren't exactly being portrayed correctly. What I think is going on is people mix up someone being a yandere with someone being extremely overprotective of someone they care for. You see, yanderes aren't exactly super overprotective of the person they have a crush on. Like, I mean, they are, but they're more obsessed with them than overprotective. Okay, so a good example of a yandere in the Sanseiyu fandom would be Yandere Blue, as he's probably the most well known. You see, people don't exactly portray him correctly. So he's actually not really a yandere for how he's portrayed. It's more of he's just overprotective of Dust than actually yandere for him. Okay, so Yandere isn't being portrayed correctly, as with most other yanderes shown in the Sanseiyu fandom. They're more overprotective partners than actual yanderes. You see, if you want a good example of a yandere, Ayano from Yandere Simulator, that's what a true yandere acts like. So if you're gonna have one of your characters be a yandere, I suggest looking at some yandere sim stuff. That'll give you a good perception on how yanderes actually act. Okay, now that that's done, we actually have a guest here. I'd like you all to meet Iris, voiced and designed by her IRL self. Just say something. Oh, and Iris is the only one of the OCs I have that actually has a voice.
Sup?
Cool. Roll the outro, Iris.
Alright.
Thanks for watching. Have a good day or night, everyone, wherever you are in the multiverse.